All right, so here we are with our bolt chain. Again, 25-foot spool of carbide chain. And we've got a rig made up here to make and break chain with. If we're going to do 32-inch chain, it goes on this pin. Make it 20, it goes here. We've already counted them out for the right amount of drive teeth. And these are our drive links right here on the bottom. And these are our cutters up here, and these are straps. So we have 3 different parts here. Now, when we take we're going to make a 32. So we'll hook it on a 32 nail, and then we'll drive all the way down here to this end and mark our link. Now that's going to leave us a little bit of extra in our spool. It's probably not going to be enough to make another, another chain. But what we'll end up doing is when we go through 4 or 5 of these, we'll have enough that we'll just put one together real quick. Let me get that guy back up on there. All right, so we've got our drive links here all counted out, and we kind of made an extra mark here. Just did a count, make sure we had it right on the money. And we do need this drive link right here. So what I'm gonna do is take my Sharpie, mark that area. And that is a strap we want to remove. We're going to take this strap right here, put that on top. Now our piece here, I don't know if you can see that, but we've got different markings in here. I'll get up there where you can see it. Sorry about that. So here's 404 chain. It'll be always above it. So there's 404. Here's 3/8. There's 325, and there's quarter pico. Now you just lay this little guy right here in our little, I guess this would call this an anvil. So we'll lay it right there. I'll find my hole and mark. Right there is the one we need to get rid of. And you can see how it just lays right in there. I'm gonna bring it close in for this. All right, so I've got it real nice and close here. And this little guy has a pin on the bottom. I'm gonna tilt it back so you can see it in the camera. See this little pin right here, and that is what's going to push down and push those rivets out of the chain. You guys can all see that. So we'll get this all lined up where we need it. We'll just pull down this handle, get it lined up, and then just push it down. Then we'll do the same thing on the other one right there. And this little block just floats around right where we need it. A little. There we go. There we have it. So this stuff here, that one there bent. It's pretty common for those to bend, and this one is the rivets already been punched out. So all this is trash now. We don't need that for anything. And this will be our spare. And again, we can take this later on, and we use it for many different things. We can take it and fix chains that had the cutters jerked off of them. We got a chain laying over here that got into some metal, and it ate a few of those. So we'll take those and fix it with that, and we'll also, whatever's left at the end, we'll put several of them together. Now in our box that has our chain, it comes in a box just like this right here. It says on it right there what it is, so that tells us what we're working with, and it is a Duro, rapid Duro, as you see your RD, and the 3/8 pitch. So coming in there, of course, they give you a handful of little boxes, and that way if you're making them at a dealership or whatever, you'll have them. But we usually just make them as we need them and throw them right on the machine. Then we have a slick little board over here that one of our students made there a few years ago, and boy, it does a great job of keeping stuff organized. But we'll take this is our link that we'll use to put it back together with. I guess you could call it a master, but it's a one-time deal. Now, what we want to do next is, number one, make sure you build it the right way. You don't want to put this thing together like this with your cutters to the inside and your drive teeth to the outside. You can get it back flipped, but it is a pain. So what we're going to do, I'm going to get here where we can see this real good. If you notice, if you guys can see this, but it has a cut in spot there, a little relief in it. So what we want to make sure is we get that thing all pointing the right way. They kind of see what we've got there. Now when we look at this chain, it has little arrows on it, and you can see those arrows are pointing in that direction. So what we want to do is make sure we get that little arrow pointing that direction also with our little relief to the inside. If we put it on like this, it can end up getting in our sprocket. It won't line up well. It's just an aggravating mess. So, and it'll roll funny over the tip on the bar. So I want to look at it here and see which direction. So it looks like it's pointing the same direction as those guys. So we have that correct. So we'll put that in place. Then we'll put our other piece there, and we have our relief to the bottom. Then we'll just flip this dude over. Make sure, you want to make sure that it's going in that pin boss area of that link. We don't want it up in here. We want to make sure that it gets seated in there appropriately. And then this little guy, we'll put it, same deal, with it pointing down with our little relief spot. Now it feels good and tight and looks good. Now we're going to move over to our spinner part of our cool little board here. I'll slide you right over here. There we go. Now, when we do this part of the procedure, there's a let me get you on top of this a little bit better. You can see we have two halves of this guy. This is the clamping half, and this is the spinning half. So what we're going to do is make sure we have this sitting out near the edge of the table far enough that the chain will hang down through there. And we want the part that spins on the part of the rivet that needs to be flared out. So we'll put this guy on here. And just trying to come apart on me. No problem, we'll just put it right back together. There she is right there. Now this should give us a 105 drive link chain, which will go on a 32-inch bar when we're done. So there we have it. Now we're just going to tighten this up till it's snug, and then we stop. So that looks real good. Now we'll start spinning this guy, and then I'm going to slowly increase pressure on this as I go. Now what I don't want to do is make it too tight or too loose. So right there is good for right now. I'm not going to get all crazy with it. Just loosen up a little. We'll slide the other one in. Make sure we get it started where it needs to be. Just bump it up there, and then we'll start spinning it. Now you can see this one moving, and what we want is it still move, but we don't want side to side. I hope you can see that in the video. We don't want this sliding back and forth in those straps. So we're going to tighten it up enough that it stops sliding back and forth, but it still rotates really well. So just kind of look at it here. That one's still rotating. Loosen up a little. That one has a little bit of sliding back and forth, but not as much as this. We're going to go ahead and run this one down a little bit more. We want to make sure it'll still move. There it's moving, but we lost all the side to side in that one. That one looks just like what we want it to look like. You kind of see how that chain lays in these little eccentrics here, and kind of supports it. So we'll come back to our first one. Just snug it a little. I'll crank on it a little bit more. There we go. It's still turning, but it got all the slop out of it. So now we have a chain that is ready to go. We've got our cutters all going they're all on the outside, not the inside, so that was successful. We have our reliefs to the inside just like all the rest, and we are ready to install this chain now. So it's ready to go.